As a result of electoral fraud in 2004, the civil society in the Ukraine gained significance for the first time, triggering the Orange Revolution. While the political elites weakened each other in power struggles over the following years, losing trust and credibility, the alliances between NGOs, extra-parliamentary opposition, and parts of the population proved to be surprisingly stable. This led to the Maidan protests in the fall of 2013. It started very quickly, recalls activist Pavlo Kalyuk.
First months, like most of time, it was not active maybe, because politicians who were on the scene, they were very passive and they did not create some roadmap. They just try to keep some activities, use violence time to time against protesters.
But the protest could not be suppressed any longer, not even by the deployment of the military. The fight against corruption and for political education and human rights takes on an important role within civil society. More than half of all NGOs active in the country include these areas as their primary fields of work. They are particularly important because broad social involvement is low. This, however, is the result of general resignation, not of massive disinformation. Accordingly, only a handful of activists are able to mobilize large groups for current events such as the Revolution of Dignity, reports Maria Simonova.
It was a very emotional decision, even having no idea how you will be able to execute this desire, to realize this desire. We were ready to do it. We really didn't understand how was it not to sleep during, 2 or 3 days in Iran, 5 days in Iran, but we were able to do it because we were very emotional and we were very inspired about what we've been doing. And we felt that if now or never.
Thus, the situation in the Ukraine is fundamentally different from, for instance, the situation in neighboring Russia, where the opposition never managed to gain from the population outside of its own circles. One further difference is that today a variety of different interest groups are represented in parliament. These include, in addition to the Euro-optimists, the supporters of a clear commitment to Europe, representatives of civil society.
Non-governmental actors, in general, are much more powerful in making policies than politicians. It is not right, it is not wrong, it is something to be changed in order to country to work in the normal process, in the normal way.
At the same time, the success of the Euro-Maidan protests released a high level of energy and momentum, which was particularly felt by the young population, intellectuals and students. On the other side, however, confidence in the state and its representatives is very weak. In the face of the state's inability to solve crises efficiently, the widespread corruption and the inefficiency of the social system, many civil society representatives are turning their back on its structures. Entirely in line with Obama's "Yes, we can," but much more successful, the realization has spread here that political change is not a distant utopia.
Politics now are afraid of two things: the social society and international companies, international organization, European Union, opinion, and we can influence, I can say, more than before. They're afraid of publicity.
They'd rather rely on their own initiative and the support of private sponsors as well as occasionally foreign donors. Government grants and national funds are low on the list of financing sources of non-government organizations, in 5th and 6th place. Even the donations of Ukrainian companies, commonly not a shining example of civil society, by far exceed all grants and move at around the same level as revenue from membership fees.
Diese breiten Plattformen von zivilgesellschaftlichen Organisationen, die also auch untereinander zusammenarbeiten als Folge des Euro-Maidan.
New forms of action emerged even before the Maidan protests, some of which were met with a positive response and copied worldwide, such as the Femen. This development has continued.
And when we unite our efforts, for example, when one organization is criticizing the Kyiv city mayor, it's okay. If 68 organizations are criticizing the Kyiv city mayor, of course they are listening.
However, as a result of the occupation of Crimea and the conflict over the Donbass region, personal risks for activists have dramatically increased. New turf wars are taking place within civil society, partially based on ideological concepts and mirroring the previous developments of the political elite. It remains to be seen whether the society will find new common ground in the face of the current situation, or whether extremist and isolationist positions will instead continue to gain ground. In the worst-case scenario, the largely peaceful conditions in the rest of the country outside of the conflict zones could deteriorate and escalate into violence.